Don't put metal in a microwave. Don't mix bleach and ammonia. What are some other examples of life-saving tips that a potentially uninformed person wouldn't be aware of? I myself didn't know that you weren't supposed to put metal in a microwave until I was 19. I just never knew it because no one told me and because I never put metal in a microwave before, so I never found out for myself, thankfully. When I was accidentally about to microwave a metal plate, I was questioned why the hell I would do that, and I said it's because I didn't know because no one told me. They were surprised, because they thought this was supposed to be common knowledge. Well, it can't be common knowledge if you aren't taught it in the first place. Looking back now, as someone who is about to live by himself, I was wondering what are some other common knowledge tips that everyone should know so that they can prevent life-threatening accidents. Edit. Maybe I was a little too specific with the phrase common knowledge. Like, I know not to put a candle next to curtains, because they would obviously catch on fire. But things like not mixing bleach with ammonia, which are in many cleaning products, apparently, a person would not know unless they were told or if they have some knowledge in chemistry. Don't throw water at a grease fire, it'll make it much worse. Yes, definitely don't put an electrical fire on a grease fire. Don't use a wet oven mitt. Water conducts heat and you will burn yourself if you grab something out of the oven with a wet mitt or towel. Most know that you need to get low if you're in a house fire, but the difference in the intensity of the heat and smoke cannot be overstated. The temp and smoke difference between head height and knee height can be incredible. It's something I had to experience, via firefighter training, to understand. Get low and stay low. Also, if you are trying to escape dense smoke, feel your way with back of your hand, not the front. If you touch a live cable, your muscles contract. A backhanded touch will throw your hand clear. If you touch it with your palm, your hand will involuntarily grip it. Don't drive through water on a flooded road even if it's only a few inches. The road can be gone underneath or your car can get pulled into a deeper section of water. People die every year from this. Late to the party, but I hope at least one other person sees this. Don't throw all your loose batteries in a drawer together. 9 volts can spark when they touch each other. I had several 9 volts in a box in my TV stand and they sparked, then started an actual fire. Had to throw the entire stand outside. If my wife and I hadn't been there watching TV, it's likely that our entire house would have burned down. Don't leave your car running in a closed garage. If you get scratched by a cat, indoors or outdoors, wash it well and immediately. Bad advice. Washing a cat will most likely result in more scratches. You're told not to eat on the day of a surgery because of the chance that you'll vomit under anesthesia and then aspirate it into your lungs, which could be deadly. I'm shocked by how many people don't know why you're not supposed to eat on the day of a surgery. You'd think doctors would be thorough in explaining, but most just seem to assume they can just tell people not to eat and they won't. Unfortunately, if people don't fully understand the consequences, they could ignore the instruction. I've had more than one person tell me they thought the instruction was just a precaution against someone crapping themselves during the surgery. Clean the lint trap in the dryer after every single load. If you are suddenly noticing that you have a snake problem and they keep appearing in your house or yard in numbers larger than before, you don't have a snake problem, you have a rodent problem that you haven't noticed yet. The snakes indicate a rodent problem. The rodents indicate a garbage problem. The garbage indicates a roommate problem. A falling knife has no handle. Get your feet out of the way, let it fall, then pick it up. You shouldn't eat beans raw. They can seriously kill you. This probably won't save your life, but not knowing could cause lifelong pain. Breathe in before you sneeze. It may sound obvious. It may sound intuitive. But no one I've encountered has ever taken the time to explain why it's so important to have air in your lungs before you sneeze. So one day, I was telling a joke, and running out of breath, and felt a sneeze coming, and decided I could spend the last of my air on nailing the punchline, then worry about the sneeze. Right as I had expelled the last of my breath, the sneeze decided it couldn't wait. When you sneeze, your muscles try to quickly, forcefully constrict your lungs to push the air out of them. This happens even when there's no air to squeeze out. For me, that meant dislocating 2 rib heads. Since that day, about 15 years ago, I have had pain related to that injury, sometimes so bad I can't sleep. Now, admittedly, I was a young adult and dumb, and trying not to cause a scene around my friends, so I didn't tend to the injury right away. As it worked out, I didn't actually get the ribs reset for almost 2 weeks, during which I moved from one state to another. All of that absolutely exacerbated my pain and contributed to why it became a lifelong injury. Treating injuries seriously is important, but people will tell you that part. Please, don't make my mistake. Air is easy to get, put some in your lungs before you sneeze. Edit. To save my inbox from months of the same question, I don't remember the joke anymore. It was a timing-dependent joke. Getting the punchline just right was part of the humor, which is why I prioritized the joke. Most likely it was a long-winded pun of some sort, as that's the kind of joke I'd tell a lot back then. Glass objects that get hit by sunlight through the window can act like a magnifying glass and start fires. That's why a fortune teller will keep their crystal ball under a cloth. When dealing with a very bloody wound, don't remove bandages. Just add more. Works with bloody noses too. If the bleeding isn't done, you can pull the clot out and prolong the bleeding. Do this repeatedly and you might lose a dangerous amount of blood. Also with bloody noses, don't tilt your head back. Swallowing blood isn't a fun time and will make you sick. Throwing the blood back up can restart the nosebleed because of the violent nature of vomiting or something like that. I'm not a doctor, I just have a lot of nosebleeds. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Also wanted to add. If you wet the tissue with saline or water before you plugged your nose, when you go to pull it out, it will not pull out the blood clot since it went in wet. Also, it seems that having it wet stops the bleeding faster since it moistens your nose. Source. I also get a lot of nosebleeds and this tip changed my life. Do not fuck with the spring in your garage door. Call a pro. Follow the directions on the bottle of any medication because even common medications like Tylenol can be fatal if you take too much. And don't take Tylenol in close proximity to when you've been ingesting alcoholic beverages, for example, to cure a hangover headache. The combo of acetaminophen and alcohol can destroy your liver to the point where you might end up on a transplant list. If you see a bat walking on the ground, don't touch it. I remember an episode of Monsters Inside Me, or some similar show where a teenage girl started displaying weird neurological symptoms. Things eventually got so bad that her parents rushed her to the hospital where tests revealed that she had contracted rabies and it was too late for any kind of treatment. Then they remembered that she had picked up a small bat lying on the ground a couple weeks or more before. They don't have to bite you to transmit it, saliva can do it. And once you show any symptom, you are already dead. There is no treatment, once symptoms are evident, so go to urgent care right away. Don't wait and see. If you are ever touched by a bat or wake up with a bat in your room, you should contact animal control immediately. You often can't feel bat bites, and if rabies is endemic in the local bat population, you need to be treated. Once you start displaying symptoms of rabies, it is almost always too late for treatment. If you come in contact with a bat, go to the doctor. Even if you don't think they bit you, many people either do not feel the bite or think the bat just bumped into them. Don't underestimate the damage a slip and fall can do. Especially if you drop ice on the floor, clean it up immediately, or if you see a leak, mark it in some way and try to contain it. Don't underestimate electricity. It can literally freeze up your muscles if you grab it, and you won't be able to let go until you're dead or someone saves you. If it doesn't kill you instantly, that is. If you see someone using powered equipment, give them as much space as you can. And finally, if a job you have has PPE, personal protection equipment, that they offer, use it. Yellow jackets come out of the ground fast. If you own or rent it, it needs to be cleaned regularly to keep it working. Like all of it, inside, outside, underside. Maintaining things is a hell of a lot cheaper than repurchasing them. This applies to damn near everything. The amount of adults I've seen online, and unfortunately in person, that didn't know you're supposed to clean your dishwasher, washer, dryer, HVAC, makeup brushes, coffee maker, machine and carafe, vents, etc., it's alarming. So, while I thought these things were common sense, it's been made clear to me that they aren't. And if you didn't know something I just said, pull up a YouTube and grab some rags lol. Or call your local TaskRabbit, handyman lol. Also, replace your sponges regularly. Also keep these things on hand: vinegar, citrus, salt, alcohol, dish soap, hydrogen peroxide, baking soda. Don't mix them all together, but one or more of these things will safely clean almost anything without harsh chemicals that could harm kids or pets. Check for proportions online for the things that can be mixed. Hepatitis B is an STD and it can fucking kill you. So is HPV and it causes throat and cervical cancer. There's a vaccine, just get it. Don't use rocks for your fire pit. They can explode. Yes, I'm sure you know plenty of people who have done it and are just fine. Don't do it. Never wrap a rope around your hand for grip. It'll burn, for one, but if there's a load on the other end it can knot around your fist if something goes awry. Fold the rope in your palm and hold it like that for grip. If it's not enough, you probably need a snatch block or need to take a different approach. A general rule of thumb for average people is no dynamic movements on unstable surfaces. Like, don't jump from rock to rock in a stream or try to jump from or onto a moving surface. Slow and steady might not win the race, but it'll save your ass. The proper way to hold scissors when handling them but not using them is to hold the cutting end closed in your closed palm. Seriously, teach your kids this. Every material that says, proper ventilation, on it is serious. Open windows and set up a fan or use it outside or in an open garage. Don't store oily, flammable rags in a pile. They can spontaneously light up. Neat YouTube videos on this one. If you don't know how to use a tool, don't use it. From saws to forklifts, you'll hurt yourself or someone else or cost yourself money. No open flame unattended. Ever. If you have plugs or lights in your house that keep tripping, yes, it's annoying, but it means you have an issue on that circuit. Your breaker will only trip so many times, and you'd be surprised how many are defective. Maybe I'm an overly cautious person. If you see someone fall over, don't try to drag them to their feet immediately. Offer to help them up if they need it, but don't pick them up. Can't believe it needs to be said, but I fell at work a few years ago and a few people tried to get me to stand on what turned out to be a dislocated ankle. But the worst was an old woman in Manchester. She hit the pavement fucking hard and didn't move after. People started to rush over to help her and two girls about 14 to 16 put their arms like under her shoulders and dragged her upright. She was knocked out cold and it just showed everyone that she'd broken her nose really bad. She was off the road, so there was absolutely no need to move her at all, but they dragged her body around for about 30 seconds before all the people screaming at them to stop managed to get through to them. If someone's not in direct danger, then just fucking leave them where they are.